If you watched the last videos, I had some wobble in my y-axis after doing the double ball nut conversion. I just finished the z-axis and I finished taking everything in the y-axis apart again. I just pulled the gib out, and what I found was, you can't really see it on the y-axis, but if you look down here on the z-axis where that gib is, right where the screw pushes against the gib, there's a notch cut out for the screw to push against, and it looks like when I tightened it, it rolled over the edge, so it was pushing the gib in on the y-axis on this front. So I filed that off and stuck it all back together, and now I've got it adjusted to where I have about 1/1000th of an inch of play when I mount an indicator out here, and I lock the x-axis table so that I don't get any movement in there, and I stick the indicator tip right here, and then I push back and forth out here. So I'm getting about 1/1000th here, and I did the same on the back, and I'm getting about the same 1/1000th of an inch. So I think it's pretty well adjusted, and I did the same thing with the X and got it all adjusted. The Z was way more work than I was planning on to get the ball nuts out of there. So I have the ball nut carrier. It's bolted in the original place for the old lead screw, which is behind the saddle, and the only way to get to it is to take the head off and pull the whole saddle off. So luckily I have the ball nut bolted in from the bottom, but I still had to pull all the top stuff off and rig it all up so that I could lift the head and kind of flex the nut around. So I had to drop the head all the way down so that I had enough room to kind of tweak it over and get it out of the hole in the top of the column up there. The main reason I didn't want to pull the whole head off is because I've got these original bolts. There's two, one on each side, and that's all that it comes with from the factory. But I added a third bolt underneath here, which I think a lot of people do. But I also added a fourth bolt. Yeah, you won't be able to see it, but I machined out a big washer because there's already a big hole back there, probably an 1.5 inch hole, and I machined a big steel washer and counterbored it, and I have it's probably either a 10 millimeter or 12 millimeter socket head cap screw bolting in at the top. So I've got all four bolted. That way there's just no movement. And it seems to be working good now. There's one more thing I gotta get. I have just regular Lovejoy style couplers on all the steppers, and it works fine on the X and the Y, but not the Z. The Z needs a rigid, no, it doesn't have to be a rigid coupler, but it can't be the kind that has the plastic spacer. I need to do all metal coupler. There's just too much flex in that rubber, and that's probably where most of the backlash in the Z is coming from, because the head is so heavy and it is a little bit worn. You could see it's still pretty tight, but it's definitely worn. So I got to replace that, and once I get all that done, I'll start on my new knife design that I've been working on. So yep, that's it for this little update. I had a couple people comment with some suggestions for getting my y-axis figured out, and luckily it didn't come down to having to take everything apart and remeasure, because I can't even find, I have a 8 through 12 inch calipers, but I've moved since I built this and scraped it in, and I have no idea where my big calipers went. My garage is a mess still. I never really got everything cleaned out in here. I need to, but luckily, everything seems to be good now that I cleaned off that burr that it rolled over. And yep. So yeah, hopefully, I think I might do just a quick video trying to retram the head in, because I did loosen all those bolts before I remembered that I had a fourth bolt up on top. And also, so one of the comments said that the y-axis hangs off the front quite a bit, because it does. There really needs to be more space right here. And that was a big part of the reason that I added this big steel plate. So the original mounting holes are these ones. So this would have been up here. And that's, I think it was 1.25 inches. So I mounted this plate and fitted it to the base here and the column. And I still ended up having to shim it. I got it all square, but once you get the head mounted, it leans a little bit. So I shimmed up the front of it a little. And so let's see here. I think this one and this one are bolted into the steel plate. And then this one and this one go all the way through into the base casting. And it's pretty rigid, and it got me an extra inch here, which is good because now that I have the double ball nuts, I lost about 1.25 inches. I'm gonna rearrange that at some point. Next time I take it all apart, I don't know if I want to take some material out of the casting down here so that it can fit behind there. I probably could, because now I have this steel plate to help kind of carry the load. But I don't know if I want to do that. Obviously, I wouldn't be able to mill it out. I'd have to use a grinder or something. And I'd have to get a longer screw, because the screw end's right there. Or if I want to build a new nut holder and just scoot it forward a little bit. I'm not sure. I'll figure that out later. I don't think I need, right now I've got about 2 inches that I could go back, and my spindle is right about in the middle of the table here. So I mean, I have enough room. When the vise is mounted, the rear jaw is back here pretty far. That's part of the reason the table hangs out so far when you've got the mill and you're milling something in the vise. But yeah, that's all for the future. I normally love working on the machine, but I just so happen to want to make this knife right now, so I'm trying to get everything put back together and working again. So yep, I'm gonna get it trammed in and make a short little video about that, and then we're gonna get started on the knife maybe tomorrow. Gotta order the coupler for the Z-axis. Yep, all right, thanks for watching, and thanks to the people who subscribe. That's pretty neat. I like watching these kinds of videos, and I learn a lot from them, so I figured even though I'm not a great machinist or anything like that, and I definitely don't know a lot about machining, I figured some people might like to watch the video. But yep, thanks, peace.